Hi all. I would like to go over another win I had from the Barnet Congress last weekend. This was against Norman Hutchinson, who I played on the Monday. So actually this game was on the Sunday, so I played him twice in 2 days. I made a mistake, I said twice in 3 days. It was actually on the Sunday in the morning. I kicked off with e4. The game's quite interesting from the point of view of the preparation I had done. I had researched from the pairings which were available from the night before that he plays the Caro Kann. I wanted to do something special against his Caro Kann. And, I looked at chessgames.com, and there's an interesting move. After c6, I played d4. After d5, it's about the 5th most popular move on chessgames.com. It's called the fantasy variation. You play f3, and there's quite a few ideas behind this. If black takes on e4 in the variations, as a general rule, white's going to sometimes get f-fold pressure. He actually played a lot more solidly. Also, I could try and play it as a gambit. If he takes, I can play like knight c3 and try and encourage him to sort of take that pawn. I get a lead in development as well as potential f-file pressure later. And knight's quite good when it comes to e5, and there's a lot of tactical opportunities. But he played ultra solidly. He played actually e6. So it's kind of a French defence, or Slav triangle here, very solid, to break down. I just played knight c3, and he played now bishop b4, and there's different ideas, obviously, than the French here, the French winner, because there's pawns on f3. What I did was actually play bishop e3 here. I'd got the kind of flavour of the position by looking at quite a few games where white was over 2500 in actually the master collection of my own site, Let's Play Chess.com. So you're able to put in a particular position and see with the Next Move Explorer, various ideas, and you can then, filter by both players' FIDE rating. And, a lot of the common ideas involved like bishop e3, queen d2 and castling queenside. So that's the idea I played now. After b6 though, he's going to be trying to get rid of his bad bishop, in inverted commas, trade it for my potentially dangerous bishop. So that's quite a logical idea. I play queen d2, and actually he now takes on e4 though, and I wasn't quite sure about taking this pawn here, because knight f6 we both looked at and thought that was good for black. Say bishop d3, then he's got a tactic here. He can play this taking on c3 and knight takes e4, because now there's this vicious check. So this is advantage to black clearly, according to Ribka. So what I did actually was gambit. This was some of the other ideas I saw, that white's often just gambiting the pawn, and I played knight ge2, and I didn't mind ef-gf, even though at first I thought, is this a standard kind of gambit? But I thought nevertheless, if I have a pawn on f3, it's guarding e4 from a knight, when it goes to f6. It's also, that g-fold might be good for pressure. So he plays knight f6 here, and I also, I'm looking at his pawns on light squares. And I'm thinking if I can just get his dark square bishop, I can get access maybe to these dark squares. So what I do is a3. He takes down f3. After gf, he plays bishop e7. And apparently, according to Ribka, white's got a compensation here for the pawn, and it rates white as slightly better, believe it or not. I castle queenside, and he plays down knight d5, which he considered a mistake the way he played it, because I took on d5, he took with the queen, and now after knight c3, his queen moves to a5, and although in some variations he might be threatening bishop takes a3, there's a lot of pressure now on the black position, and I can immediately provoke some extra dark square weaknesses with rook g1. So what is he going to do about g7? He doesn't really want to castle into the attack. I think that's a bit too dangerous. He plays actually g6, and here I come up with an imaginative idea which apparently is not as good as just the straightforward idea of just bishop g5, which Ribka likes. If bishop g5 takes, say rook takes, and the queen is embarrassed now, so say b5, and apparently here queen f4, and white's doing very well, a slight advantage for white. Let's say castles, bishop d3, queen d8. Black's king is a sitting target, and Ribka actually in this position gives a tactical shot if the queen did retreat. Knight takes b5. Of course I wouldn't have like seen this kind of variation, but this lead in development is obviously useful tactically because now like bishop e4. So black has to be careful, not just for his king side for h4 and h5, but even for things like knight takes b5. So maybe that's why Rybka kind of likes this position for white, even though it's a pawn down. So that's the simple move, bishop g5. But I played actually rook g5, just offering an exchange sacrifice. And this isn't really rated much by Rybka, but I really liked the idea of preventing, castling on the queen side and really making it scary on the king side. Getting this dark squared bishop. So I thought it would be good fun. And after knight d7, I play actually bishop c4. I want to keep the bishop on this diagonal so that if he castles kingside, I can play h4 and h5, and it will mean when I try and soften up his king position, with a bishop there eyeing e6, it will be difficult for him to ever take, with f takes g6. So he plays actually bishop a6 here, and I play a passive move, but it's in line with that plan I just mentioned. Apparently, there's a very sharp tactical move here Rybka comes up with. d5, believe it or not. So then if bishop takes, then there's d takes c6. And black's a bit in trouble. Say castles cd7, and it's better for white. But also, even bishop takes a6 instead of d5 is apparently good for white. Say queen takes, and now d5 again. So the idea just to smash open the centre. So black not being able to castle queenside, and if he castles kingside, dc6, and where is the knight moving? Say it moves to e5. Now apparently here bishop f6, and I'm getting in on these dark squares. So maybe my intuitive exchange sacrifice wasn't that bad after all. It does lead to certain disasters, especially in conjunction with d5 wrenching open the position. But I played an inferior move here. I played actually bishop b3 because I had the intuitive plan really, which I suppose is constraining the opportunities of just taking a d5. When you have an intuitive plan, you already sort of signed up for it. Maybe that's the kind of leads to inaccuracies and missed opportunities. But anyway, he castles. Sorry, he doesn't castle here. What he does is h6. He tries to castle queenside, and this is quite an ingenious pawn sack, and probably maybe only move. So I take, and now he castles queenside. So at least he's getting his king out of the fire.